Why, hello everybody. Welcome back to another video here. We're gonna check out the latest update to the complementary shaders. Yeah, so I have downloaded Complementary Unbound of version 5.4. That is the latest one. There was a 5.3 if you were downloading files and you updated to 5.3. That's just fine. The prior complimentary video was about 5.2.2, but there's some cool stuff in 5.3 and 5.4 that we're going to go over here. Right now, I can reset it, but it's not going to make a difference because these are the default settings. We're going to skip performance settings for right now. I'm going to jump into lighting. So let's get on in here. We have our lighting color multipliers. We want to turn those on, and usually what I like to do is just turn down the lighting intensity for sunrise, sunset, lighting intensity for nighttime. Actually, hold on, I'm going to go through nighttime at a different time. So let's cover daytime while we're here in daytime. Oh, hold on, I'm going to leave that at 1. At noon, I want the lighting intensity multiplier to be 1. At sunrise, sunset, I turned it down to 0.85. So now I'm going to back out of the lighting color multipliers and come over here to atmosphere. And atmosphere color multipliers, I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make this 0.85. And I'm going to make noontime, well, I'm just going to leave it at 1. Let's hit apply. And we should see a slight change. This would probably be better if I was smart enough to actually point the camera at the sky here. But let's say, for example, let's look up at our sun. Now, a lot of people, by a lot, I mean like, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 people had commented that, how do you turn down the brightness of the sun? Well, I have to tell you that there is no direct option for adjusting the brightness of the sun or the moon. But what we can do is, if we come over here, I'm going to turn this down to 0.75 for our noontime atmosphere intensity multiplier, and our sunrise sunset time, I'm going to bring this down to 0.5. And let's hit apply, and we should see kind of a big change there. Our sun is sticking out quite a bit more. It doesn't seem to be as blown out and bright as before, to me anyways. The sky is nice and blue. So let's do time set 2300, and we still get a decent sunrise time at 100. Let's move this forward a little bit so we can see the changes in the sky as the sun comes up. It's nice. It's very nice. I didn't adjust the colors at all. Remember, in the prior video, I had changed our atmosphere color multipliers during here, so if I wanted it to be a little bit more red, I could just turn that up to 1.2. Let's see what kind of a change that makes. Ooh, it just made it a little bit more red, if you noticed that. Let me drop it back down to 1.0. Pay attention to the sky and the sun in the background here. And quick change. Boom, there it is. Not as red. That's how those settings work. Aside from that, there isn't any other real way to change the brightness of the sun. I tried messing around with oh, hold on, it's over here in camera, our bloom strength, because I'm not a big fan of bloom anyways. Even if you crank that down to 15%, it changes things, but it doesn't change the brightness of the sun. So that's all there is. Can't change the brightness of the sun. Let's go ahead and jump out of there. So we've been into lighting, and we've been into atmosphere, and we changed our daytime settings. Let's just jump over to noon. You can see the sun is still there. It's still bright, but it isn't really blowing the sky out. Sky is nice and blue. World is nice and bright. Perfect. All right. So let's jump over to nighttime. Our keep is looking very fancy. Let's add another 2000 to the time because I really want nighttime here. So We've got our moon. There's our landscape. Let's jump into our settings really quick. And I know this is really a marathon race because I don't want this video to be, 30 minutes long. So we're in lighting. We're in our lighting color multipliers, which we've already turned on. So now we're in nighttime, and I'm going to turn this down to 0.5. You can pick what you want. And here's something that I want you to see that I didn't mention when we were adjusting our daytime lighting settings, is that if I adjust the nighttime lighting intensity multiplier down to 0.5, you can see how much darker the landscape got, but the sky itself didn't change, right? So it just brightened up really quick. If I turn this back down to 0.5, it'll get dark again. Boom, real dark. Now, let's come out of our lighting tab. Let's go into atmosphere color multipliers, nighttime. And if we turn this down to 0.5, this kind of has a compounding effect. Did you see just how much darker everything got? So you can leave that down. Let's jump back out to lighting color multipliers, nighttime. Now, if the nighttime is a bit too dark, the landscape is a bit too dark. Let's bump that back up to 75. It hasn't hit yet. There it goes. There it goes. See? Things just got a bit brighter. So you can play with these settings. Sorry, I moved away from the microphone if you lost that. You can play with these settings back and forth a bit to kind of tweak and adjust just how you want your world to look. Rainy weather, obviously this will have an effect. It will also compound. So if I turn that down to 0.8, it's not going to make any effect on anything right now. Okay, let's get out of the settings /weather set. /weather, rain, duration 60, sure. Now things should darken up a bit more when it starts to rain. There it goes. There it goes. The world just got very dangerous. Now, I haven't actually messed with this yet, so let's see what happens when we do atmosphere, rainy weather, cold, or heavy and colder. Let's hit apply and see what we get. Well, I mean, it's nighttime, so I guess that was not a good experiment. But it seems like the streakies coming down the screen here, our viewport into the game, it seems like those are a little bit more prominent. Let's clear 60,000. There we go. Now our world should come back and brighten up just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so that is how we adjust those. A few other settings for the nighttime that I like to mess around with here. Let's go into atmosphere. Let's turn night nebula on. Night star amount to high. I'm going to turn the aurora borealis style to unbound and the aurora to every night so that we can see it. You can adjust those settings, and there we go. We now have a nice magical mystical world with more stars, and that's just the way I like to play. But let's see, what else have we got here before I jump into what is some pretty exciting changes here. The moon phase, that's a good setting to have. Change your moon phase night lighting to on and your moon phase night atmosphere to on, and then you can adjust these intensities. So if I hit apply now, and I should have done that with the view here of the world around us. It didn't change a whole lot because we have a full moon and our intensity is 1. But if we go back into the settings, other moon phase, if for some reason you wanted to crank that down, that is going to have an effect on the world around you. We should have a full moon, so there it is. Just updated, got a bit darker. If you wanted a bit brighter on a full moon, you could go the other direction. And if you heard that ding, that was my wife sending me a text message. I'm just messing with you. I have no idea what it says. If you didn't hear that ding, just ignore what I did. that was completely irrelevant. Nothing to see here. Nothing to hear. Right. So, yeah. Not much of these things need to be changed. World outline, who needs that? Selection outline. I like to turn that on to, I think versatile is the one I like, because it'll kind of, on a dark block, it'll look a little bit white. On a white block, it'll look a little bit dark. It's a good feature. There's nothing really to mess around with in there as far as the other settings go. Materials, you can make adjustments to your water if you want to, like we did in the previous video. If you want to make adjustments to your water, I would suggest just going back and watching that video again. Our integrated stuff here, you can turn on glowing redstone, glowing lapis lazuli, and glowing armor trims. Just to show you how to get there, you're going to go into materials, integrated PBR plus, glowing stuff, and that was not how you got there. No, that was how you got there. Sorry, I was right. So you can turn all those on if you want to. Glowing ores, these should all be on by default. Other IPBR stuff, I just don't mess with it. You can if you want. You can check it out, but I don't mess with it. Changes to pixelated lighting. So now we have pixelated shadows, pixelated edge shadows, and pixelated block light. I'm not sure that the block light really does anything. I haven't noticed a change, but to show you these settings, actually I need to get out of here and time set 2300. Nope, not 23,000, 2300. So we have some shadows here. So let's get this opened up. Our shader pack settings, lighting, pixelated lighting. Let's turn on all of these options. Now the pixelation scale in 5.2.2 we had to pick the scale. So for me, I would have picked a 16x because I use a 16 pixel resource pack. I use Stay True is the one I prefer. You can amplify this up or down depending on what you want to do, but if you happen to use a 32x, 64, 128, whatever you're using, it's going to pixelate the shadows the same as whatever resource pack you're using, or you can just leave it off and you'd have these same smooth shadows. But let's hit apply and you will see what happens here in just a moment once those settings apply. Keep an eye on the edges of our shadows. Boom, there they went. They're nice and pixelated now, just like how they were before. As far as the block light goes, like I said, I haven't really noticed a change there. I haven't really noticed a difference in what that does. Let's bounce back over to nighttime because I want to show you one more thing. Give me some frog lights. And this is a really neat feature. And give me some red candles and some green candles and a flint. So we're going to place a yellow frog light. Oh boy, yep, that sucks. Color is not yellow at all. There's a green frog light. That color is definitely not green. There's the purple frog light. Definitely not purple. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to do 3 candles and 3 candles and light these bad boys up. And yep, that didn't make much of a difference at all. So let's jump on into our... Nope. Oh, dang it. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Okay, shader pack settings. Here we go. Let's go into performance settings. Generally, there's nothing in here that you particularly need to change unless you just want to. You can adjust some of these settings down if you want, if you're having frame issues, if it's really just chugging along. But what we want to do is turn on this advanced color lighting. I'm just going to leave it at 4 chunks, and let's hit apply. And we should see some fancy changes in the background. Keep an eye on things back there. Whenever it updates. Any moment now. And oh, there it goes. If you can look here, there's a very slight greenish tinge here that's slightly red. But our frog lights are glorious. Look at that. Yellow, green, purple light. I mean, it's glorious. Just look at it. And just so you can tell the difference, here is a glowstone. You can see that the glowstone has a much more orange light, which is very much more similar to our traditional lanterns and torches, but we have colored lights. These things are actually supposed to be, let me try a blue one and a flint. I haven't really messed with this stuff in very much, but this should be, oh, I thought it was going to be blue. Huh. Maybe I'm not right about the candles. I thought that was supposed to be a thing. But either way, the frog lights are great. They're different, which is still pretty fantastic. Let's take a quick look at the settings here. So we went through the performance settings. The only thing to change there is your advanced colored lighting. We've been in the lighting settings. You can change your block light flickering. I usually like to set that at about 5. You don't want to set that too high or things kind of start to look like a rave. Our lighting color multipliers are good to adjust. Usually I just adjust the intensity. If you want to make your sunrises or sunsets a little bit more red, you can adjust these colors. If you for some reason wanted purple sunsets, you would adjust what, blue and red? Blue and green? I don't know how you make purple. Where's the color wheel? So you can adjust all of these. I've shown you how to do that. Block light color, you can change those. If you change your block light intensity, it's going to change the brightness of lanterns and torches. Now, it's going to change the brightness that you're going to see them on the screen, but it's not going to have any effect whatsoever on the spawning of mobs. That stuff is hard-coded. We're only changing how it appears to us to look. And that should make them much darker. Yep, there it goes. So you can adjust that if you like. I should have just left that alone. Sorry, wasting more time. Holy moly, we're 17 minutes into this. I'm still making like a 20 or 30 minute video. Oh, somebody save you. Okay, block light, we've been in pixelated. Cave lighting. Oh, this is important. For some people that wanted to make the caves brighter, you can adjust this over here in these different bright, ultra bright, very bright settings. That's how you're going to fix that. If the caves are much too dark for you, you can adjust that. Materials, we didn't mess around in here too much. You can adjust the water if you want to. I would suggest watching the prior Complementary Shaders video camera. Not much to do in here. Make sure you leave motion blur off because that is a ridiculous setting. I don't know why it exists in the world. I don't know why it still exists in the world. It's just as bad as making everything shiny. Konami! Yeah, not everything in the world needs to be shiny. We've talked about our atmosphere color multipliers. You can adjust the fog as much as you like. You can play with your God rays if you want. These light shaft settings. I haven't really messed with them, so I'm not sure how much they really work. We've talked about the aurora. You can adjust your rain and weather, sun and moon. You can play with those things. If you like the reimagined, which is kind of a blocky sun and moon, or there's the unbound, which is kind of more similar to what it is. There's a smaller style or just default. You can adjust those to your liking. Other settings, moon phase influence, that's always fun. Not much of a need to get into these other things other than just changing the selection outline. And that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I did not anticipate it was going to be a 20-minute video, but thank you for sticking around this long if you have. Leave any questions down below. I am not affiliated with the Complementary Shaders team. I just happen to like their shaders the most, and they're free. And they have lots of settings to adjust, which is fun. So, thanks for joining me. Y'all have a good day. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye. I'm just gonna let this sunrise slowly soak in. Oh yeah. Look at that glory. Aren't shaders wonderful? Alright, that's enough.